You know that feeling when you walk into your kid's playroom and it's just total chaos, and you just have to wonder, what is possibly going on in their head? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that chaos. We're going to find the incredible structured learning that's happening right there in plain sight. So let's go discover the brilliant little scientist at work. And to do that, we have to start with a really simple question.
Just picture it for a second. There's spilled water, maybe some mixed up paints, toys are scattered all over the place. I know. Your first instinct is probably to see a huge mess that needs to be cleaned up. But what if that's not the real story? What if we're missing something amazing? And this is where we flip the script. This powerful idea comes from the Brilliant Leader School. It's not a mess. It's a child's laboratory. It's the physical evidence of their brain running countless little experiments, trying to figure out how the world works. All right, so section 1, it's not just play. Let's start by totally reframing how we look at our child's world.
It all comes down to that one little word, why. That question is the engine that powers their entire world. And it's not just an annoying question they repeat over and over again. Nope, it's the spark for every single experiment. Every time they touch something or taste something or, throw something, they're trying to answer that one fundamental question and literally map out the universe around them. So, section 2, the mind of a scientist. What does this process actually feel like for a child? Well, it all comes down to this incredible, almost superpower-like ability to focus. Have you ever seen a kid so absorbed in an activity that the rest of the world just seems to melt away? That's not them ignoring you. That's something called a flow state. It's the absolute peak of their concentration. It's a moment when their brain is just firing on all cylinders, building new connections and forging the very foundation of how they understand everything. And this idea is so cool. Think about it. An adult's experiment is usually designed to prove something we already think is true. But a kid's experiment, that's pure, unfiltered exploration. They have zero preconceived ideas about the outcome. They just want to know what happens if, and that makes their learning so much more authentic, so much more powerful. Okay, now for the really fun part. Let's become translators for a minute. Let's decode some of those common, messy behaviors into the brilliant scientific lessons they actually are.
You know that endless pouring of water from one cup to another? That's not just splashing around. They're actually conducting their first physics experiments in liquid dynamics. Seriously, they're learning about volume, about cause and effect, and they're even making predictions. It's way more methodical than it looks.
Oh, and what about when a kid mixes dirt and leaves and a little water into that lovely brown sludge? They're not just making a mess. They are a little chemist, testing the properties of materials. Their brain is just itching to know what happens when you combine stuff. It is, in its own way, the purest form of science there is. And the efficiency of this learning is just wow. Which brings me to this number 3. Just take sand, for example. In one single scoop, a child is learning about at least 3 different scientific principles. They're learning about texture from how it feels, pressure as they squeeze it in their hand, and gravity as they watch it fall. 3 lessons in one handful. That's incredible. This one is so easy to overlook. When you see a child just staring intently at a little bug crawling on the ground or a spinning top, they are not daydreaming. This is the very first step of any scientific discovery. Pure, unbiased observation. They're gathering raw data, processing all the little details that we as adults have long since learned to just ignore.
And what about all that repetitive moving of blocks from one pile to another? Back and forth, back and forth? Well, that's their brain practicing how to create order out of chaos. They're developing this deep internal understanding of patterns, of sorting, and of systems. And those are the fundamental building blocks of math and logic.
And hey, even accidents are just more data points. When something breaks, and I know that can be frustrating, it is one of the fastest, most powerful lessons a child can get in cause and effect. It's a real-world physics lesson, showing them that actions have immediate, tangible, and sometimes irreversible consequences. So you might be wondering, how do all these small, seemingly random moments connect? Well, trust me, they are not happening in a vacuum. They are all building a super powerful foundation for the future. It's like a chain reaction, you see. Today's simple act of stacking a few blocks isn't just about the blocks. It builds the confidence to try new things, which then fuels their curiosity. That curiosity helps them develop foundational logic, and that logic is what they are going to use one day to solve complex problems that we can't even imagine yet. And this is so, so important. This is why we have to give them space to fail. When a tower of blocks tumbles over or a mud pie doesn't turn out right, that's not the end. It's just a new data point. Every failure teaches resilience and strengthens their problem-solving muscle. Their inner scientist literally thrives on trial and error. So if they're the scientists, where do we fit in? What's our role? Well, it's simple. We're the lab assistants. Our job isn't to direct the experiments, but to create a safe, supportive environment where they can make their own discoveries. So what does being a good lab assistant actually look like? Well, first off, we have to value the process, not just the final product. It's not about the perfect Lego tower. It's about what they learned while they were building it. We have to learn to embrace the mess as the visible proof of learning. We need to understand that the real world, with all its textures and surprises, is their best teacher. And finally, we have to remember that their own natural curiosity is the only tool they really need. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Knowing that every child is a brilliant researcher doing vital work, what's one small change you can make to be their best lab assistant? How can you better support the incredible, essential work they're doing every single day?